A lot of people want to go from their old self-image to a new self-image, otherwise version 1.0 to version 2.0 of yourself. And many people do not understand how it works, and many people struggle with it all the time. What I want to do today, because I've had a lot of experience with this, is helping people move from their old self-image to the new version of themselves. I want to explain the pathway that you have to go in the next 8 to 10 minutes. And the reason for this, it will teach you and show you what must happen in order for your new self-image to start taking a hold and that old self-image to start sitting down in the corner and leaving it alone. It's called breaking the belief action cycle. Did you get that? There's a cycle called belief action, because what you believe is going to determine and catalyze the actions you take. Did you get that? What you believe and think about yourself, how you see yourself, is going to determine the actions that you take. In your business, in life, it doesn't matter. And what happens is we get stuck in that old belief, that old self-image, and it continues to force us to take the actions that we're taking. We want to change it. Problem is, we have not figured out how to change it. When you interrupt the automatic pattern that has been there for all these years, your brain's been running on 4 years, to be perfectly blunt, it creates an opening for change. Did you get that? When you decide to think something different or believe something different or point to something different or see something different in your mind, it literally changes the brain from a standpoint of, oh boy, this is going to be the same thing as it was yesterday in the last 2 years. When you change that, what happens is you force yourself to be able to move into a place where you can change. One single new action shatters the brain's old model of prediction. It loves to predict. It loves familiarity. It wants to know where you're going, and you've always done it this way, thought this way, felt this way before, so the brain expects it to happen. But when you introduce something that's totally different than that, what happens is the brain says, whoa, time out, we need to take a look at this, because a new belief rocks the old emotional pattern. Did you get that? When you introduce a belief, or you introduce an image, or we introduce a desire or thought that literally contradicts how you see yourself from your old self-image, what happens is your emotional responses start to alter. It starts to shift and starts to move in a different direction. And when that new belief rocks the old emotional pattern, then the opening becomes bigger for the new self-image to come in. But you must have a new version of yourself in your mind. You must think and know that you're going to build that new version, and that new version is unalterable. It must happen. It will happen. It cannot not happen. And when you interrupt the cycle of that belief and action that you've had for years and years and years, I believe this, think this, feel this, so this is my action. When you interrupt that, it creates a new feedback. And what that means is the moment you change part of that cycle, the entire path reorganizes. Did you get that? Your entire internal system reorganizes, because you have introduced a new thought, you've introduced a new image that you see yourself as, you've introduced a new emotion of excitement, this is where I want to be and who I want to go. What happens is that opening gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you interrupt the cycle of the belief action, what happens is then that cycle starts to reform and rewrite its own self into becoming more of the new self-image. Now, unfortunately, here's the truth. It is what it is. The brain will try to trick you. The brain will try to force you. The brain will try to convince you that that's not who you are. You need to go back to the old self, because the brain's job is to protect you. And anything that you do outside of the old familiar patterns the brain is used to, it sees as potential danger, maybe harmful. But you cannot let that happen, because you must be so focused. You must be so desiring of this new self-image that the brain suddenly realizes, whoa, this is just not a normal thing. This is real change. And what happens is when you interrupt that cycle, breakthroughs start to happen, because that pattern of belief action of the old self-image starts to crumble, starts to just slowly fade away and melt. And this is one of the reasons why that you can't give up, because there will be struggle, there will be doubts, there will be your brain telling you you're crazy, you shouldn't do this. But that's okay. That's how that you have a new version of yourself, because when breakthroughs start to happen, suddenly you see that what you wanted is possible. Who you wanted to become is possible. And the person, that new version, that new self-image that you see in your mind, this is where we're coming, starts to show up. So understand, a new single action that you take, an immediate action that's foreign, you've never done before, but you're moving towards a new self-image, it just shakes the brain up. And that predictability that it's so used to suddenly is gone. This is something new. And that prediction then gets the brain's attention to where it says, okay, let's start taking a look at this. But in order to protect you, when you start taking those new actions of building a new business or doing whatever you do, the brain will try to convince you, doubt, no, it's not going to happen, you're not good enough, this or that. Don't listen. Focus in on where you're going, because breakthroughs are going to happen. Because once that opening happens and the brain understands that new self-image is going to happen no matter what, then that old pattern of belief and that old pattern of action starts just to crumble, starts to fade, starts to shatter, starts to dissipate. And as I say, it starts to melt simply from that new fire of the new self-image forming. I want you to get this. The cycle doesn't break by force. It breaks by replacement. Did you get that? This new pattern of belief action of your new self-image, the new version of you, 2.0, it doesn't break by force, that belief action cycle. It's replaced. You don't destroy the old pattern. What you do is you starve it by feeding a new one into the system, a new pattern of this is now who I am. This is now what I think. This is now what I talk about. This is now what I see in my mind where we're going. This is now what I believe about myself. This is what I know that I can do that I used to think I couldn't do. All of these things create the momentum to where that opening in the brain of your self-image gets bigger, and your new self-image gets bigger, and your new self-image gets bigger, and suddenly the old self-image just gives up. That's how it works, folks. Breakthroughs aren't hocus pocus. They're the moment that your old self-image, your old version of yourself, loses all its power, loses its grip, and the new one ignites and starts to take over. Now, let me give you 4 steps, and then we'll end this video. Number 1, you've got to start something, taking a new action to alter the brain's expectation. Number 2 is going to shatter the emotional aspects, and the brain's going to freak out. And when it starts freaking out, it's going to try to convince you can't do this. But when you continue to take immediate action, the brain starts opening up into that new self-image possibility. This person is really, really focused on this. I better pay attention. And number 4, the old cycle, the old belief action cycle that you had, old belief of yourself, now it's a new belief and new actions you're taking, becomes your new self-image, and the brain accepts it and then adjusts accordingly. That's how it works. That's how that building a new self-image works. And I would encourage you to take this video, study it, and understand what we've gone through that path that we went in order to change your self-image. You can change your self-image, go from the old version of you to the new version of you, but you got to follow the right path, and it all hinges on that first action you take that you've never taken before towards building a new business, building something new in your life, or building something that the brain's never seen before in your life, and then it ignites from there. It all starts, though, with that first action. Immediate action on your new dream is what ignites the whole process of the new self-image. Guys, we're doing something special here. We're going to show you, teach you, guide you along, if you will, and we call the 7 4s. Our goal is to have the 7 4s. What does that? I mean, the 4 7s. 4 7s. It's been a long day. 4 7s. We want you to build a 7-figure life, a 7-figure income with a 7-figure business with 7-figure thinking. And that's why that we're doing what we're doing here. So I would encourage you, like, follow, share, subscribe to this channel. If you're doing something extraordinary, let's build it together. This is the place. Let people know we exist. But most importantly, like, follow, share, subscribe, and spread the fire.